What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? Well. So, this is something that I have been wanting to address and get a couple of people motivated to move forward in the areas of where God is wanting to take you. Amen. Now, one thing I've been noticing a lot of, especially the fact that I have a Facebook page, and I'm pretty sure a couple of you guys out there have one as well. One of the things that I've been noticing that there are a lot of people who are fearful of change. A lot of you may say, well, that's everybody. And yeah, that is everybody. But there are a lot of people out here that are in denial. They are in denial about being fearful of change. You have, what I want to say, billions of dead bodies in a cemetery where they had visions and dreams and inspirations of being something or doing something, but they end up dying with those visions and those dreams buried on the inside of them that never came to pass. You have people who are afraid of moving forward in the areas of their life because of change. You have people who desire to do what it is that God has called them to do, but because they are fearful of some things, they just decide to take the back seat and allow other people to do something that they were called to do. One of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight was how do you handle or how do you overcome in a season in your life where you're dealing with change. Sometimes there's only two things that can happen when it comes down to change. One, change can either be unexpected. Sometimes we experience seasons in our lives where things happen and we have no control over what happens. If you are a person who, like myself, used to be, if you didn't have your hand in the situation where you was controlling how and what would happen in your life or in a situation, I will get upset. Example, if I couldn't control where I wanted to live, what I wanted to wear, what I wanted to eat, then I had an issue with that because I need to know what I'm going to eat. I want to be able to pick and choose where I want to live, right? But then you have some people out here who don't have that choice. Or sometimes things happen where they have to make quick decisions and they wasn't ready. Example, some of you guys out there may be married. You may be married to men who are in the military, or men who are not in the military, but they may travel in and out the state. They may take jobs in different states, and you may have to up and move the kids and the family unexpectedly, and mentally you was not prepared for that. So that fear sets in, that anxiety sets in, like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? I've been uprooted from a situation that I was not ready for. One of the things that I learned as I mature in my season of not only being a leader or a woman of God is that anytime change comes, it had to have come through God first. Meaning he looked at a particular thing and said, hey, I know if this situation happens, this is going to better Latoya in the end. Even if I don't think that it will happen, it will. I'll give you an example. I was attending college out of state. Some of you guys know that I went to college out of state. During that time, my parents were living in California. I was living in North Carolina for school. Well, probably about my junior year, maybe, or maybe my sophomore year. Can't remember. My parents decided they want to come to Texas to live. So when I found out about it, I'm like, Texas? Like, we from California. What you mean we going to Texas? And in my mind, I'm like, that's not going to be a good look. I ain't riding no horses. I need a vehicle. They slow and country out there. And most of all, I know it is hot in Texas. And not only that, fear set in, anxiety set in, and I'm like, this is not a good look for me. I was angry, I was upset, but I had to make a decision as to, am I going to go to Texas with them or am I going to stay in California? So I graduated from college and I came on down here to Texas where they were. And don't get me wrong, that first year I was very, 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 very depressed because it was a totally different way of living. But when I mean to tell you now that I've been here now for probably about 10 years, I have been able to accomplish so much more in my life than I really believe I would not have been able to accomplish had I stayed in California. I mean, from job opportunities to my spiritual development to how to have compassion for people, how to take responsibility in certain areas, the networking options that I had available to me, the hospitality, how people live, how people think, the different exposures that I've come in contact with, things like that. And at first it was scary, but now it's like, wow, looking back on it, I've been able to grow in so many areas of my life that I can even ever imagine is what I'm saying. So for those of you who are out there dealing with change or trying to overcome the whole thought of, how do I move forward with change, especially if you're thinking about changing your job path, if you thinking about moving to another state, whatever your issue may be, and you may be in fear of that, one thing you got to keep in mind is first, if you are a woman or a man of God, you know what the word says about fear. Fear is not of God. That is not something that God places in us. That is strictly from the enemy. So you know that that's not something that God is pleased with, is when you are in fear. It also means that you are lacking faith. That means that you may need to really sit down and analyze what your priorities are and what your goals are. Because sometimes we want things in life, but we're not willing to go through the process to get what it is that we need to get. Or we want to live this way and we want to retire by this age and we want to do this and we want to do that. But we don't want to put in the work necessary for us to be able to accomplish what it is that we need to accomplish. And sometimes that means sacrificing. Sometimes that means changing things. Sometimes that means letting go of certain behaviors or certain patterns or certain habits to get you to the next level, to where you need to be. So one thing you need to understand is first, fear is not of God. Secondly, you need to analyze and think about your priorities. You need to sit down and say, you know what is it that I really want? Because in order for me to accomplish certain things in my life, I need to change the way that I'm thinking. I need to figure out, okay, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Because something is not adding up right. So first thing you need to do is you need to understand is that fear is not of God. Okay. Secondly, you need to analyze and think to yourself, okay, where is this fear coming from? Why am I having these feelings? Is this something I really want to do? Do I not understand what it takes for me to be able to accomplish the things I need to accomplish? And thirdly, you need to see the big picture. And what I mean by seeing the big picture is that right now you may be fearful of a certain thing. You may be fearful of change, but you got to look at the bigger picture. Let's give an example of that. If you say, oh, I want to change the way I eat. And so right now you may be going through a transition in your life where you like, okay, all I know is burgers. All I know is milkshakes. All I know is Reese cups. All I know is Snickers. And all you keep thinking to yourself is all what you know now. But you know that in order for you to change the way you eat, you have to go through a process. You're going to have to sacrifice eating those things. You're going to have to work out more. You're going to have to change your thought patterns. You're going to have to find different things to implement in place of the old habits of the way you used to eat. But when you look at the big picture, you know what, 6 months from now, I'm going to be fierce, baby. I'm going to be walking around here in this two-piece, baby, and you ain't going to be able to tell me nothing. Or for the men, you got your shirt off or whatever, you got the muscles you want or whatever the case may be, cool. So you got to look at the big picture. You want to look and see, okay, how is this going to benefit me in the end? Yeah, being fearful and copping out, because I call it a cop out, being fearful and copping out of a situation says a lot about your character and who you are as a person. That means that you are not willing to go through the process of being changed, meaning you rather take the easy way out so that you don't have to deal with change. So the only person you can be mad at is yourself. So when you're battling and you're dealing with overcoming this thing called fear of change, you got to ask yourself, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to change? Ask yourself, do you really even want this in the first place? Because when you want something really, really bad, you are willing to go through the necessary steps in order to see that it come to pass. Come on now. That's a word right there from the Lord. That is a word. Do you hear me? So let's just think about those things. I mean, come on now, y'all. We all grown. We all adults. We all want these things in our life. But you got to ask yourself, man, what are you willing to give up? A lot of times people are fearful of what other people may think or what other people may feel if they do this or if they change this or what if I do this and what people gonna think. But at the end of the day, ain't nobody taking care of you. Ain't nobody writing you no checks. Ain't nobody putting food in your refrigerator. Ain't nobody doing nothing. But you so caught up in what everybody else think to the point to where you rather stay content. You rather stay in your little box. But then when you on social media and you see people evolving into who it is God has called them to be, that's because they putting in the work. They're doing what it is that's necessary for them to get to the next level in their life. And that's something you got to understand. In order for you to be great, you have to put in the work that's necessary in order for you to be great. Get rid of the fear and say, you know what? I may be fearful now, but I'm going to speak against that fear. I'm going to claim that I'm bold. I'm going to claim that I have confidence in myself. You have to speak those things because who going to be your cheerleader but you? Think about it. Think about that. So I just encourage whoever's out there looking at this video at this point, and you're wondering to yourself, how am I going to overcome this thing called fear? And how am I going to deal with change? When it happened unexpectedly, a real true G, and yes, I said G, a real true G, triple OG, gangster, whatever you want to call yourself. When change happened, you're going to roll with the change. You're going to roll with whichever way the wind blow. You are able to adjust because in life, you are going to go through seasons in your life where you're not going to get a call and say, hey, a change getting ready to come. No, when the change comes, you need to be able to be positioned. You need to be able to walk in authority. You need to be able to know, hey, you know what? No matter what come my way, I'm going to push forward because this is the goal and the vision that I have set out for my life. And I know whose I am. Amen? Amen.